Hey, thank you for watching the Kairosan show. I am Kairosan. Thank you for tuning in. And today, I'm going to expand on are foreign women better than American women? Fact or myth? And this video is particularly about American women and about the feminist movement. So I'm going to talk about the feminist movement. Then I'm going to talk about American women in the next video and how the feminist movement alterated American women. So I'm going to just go briefly over this video about the feminist movement. Well, all you need to know is the feminist movement is divided into three phases. You had the feminist movement of the late 19th century to 20th century, the feminist movement of the 60s and 80s, and the third phase, which is the 1990s, early 1990s to present. Okay, so getting back to that, just some historical figures of the feminist movement. There's Christine Dempazin. She was back in the late medieval ages. She was a writer, and she believed that we should live equally. Women should be treated equally in society as men. There were also some other groups around that time, like for example, in Dutchland, there was a group called Middelburg. So that was an organization for feminist rights back in those days. Then, if you go a little further into the next century, the 1960s and 80s. Mostly, this was during the American era. So, back in America during those days, women wanted equal rights for employment, equal rights to work, and to be treated fairly in the workforce. Because women back then had a more work-oriented mindset than, say, a family-oriented mindset where they stay home and cook waffles and cook pregnant with bare feet on the kitchen. No, they wanted equal opportunity. So that started back in the 60s to 80s. And then, last but not least, we can go towards the 90s, when it started to get more intense. So women started to look up for themselves. They didn't need to be married. They were more independent. They didn't need a husband. Most of them became lesbians. Most of them became gay. And based on different psychological factors in their life. But most of them became independent, and they didn't see where a husband or family would fit in their lives based on their career-oriented mindsets. Back in the 50s, ladies and gentlemen, American women were more loyal, subordinate to their husbands, because in those days, it was the norm for a woman to stay home, take care of the children, clean the house, while the husband was the breadwinner doing all the work, particularly, at his job, getting the money for the house to run. So, if you want to look at it in a different way, you could say that women had a role in the workforce, and men did. Except women would take care of the house and the children, while the men would work to keep the house running and keep the electricity on. So, and also women were more friendlier. They were less stressful because most of them, stayed at home. And some of them even worked before they got married. So they actually did their little careers. But there was less career options for women back in the 50s than they are today. So women were working in the household. They were less stressful. They were more happier. They were glad to see their husbands. And they were glad to, help them out in the house and be a loving, caring woman. But what went wrong? So what went wrong in that situation is when men started to go on power trips, start abusing their own wives, or started molesting or raping their wives. Yeah, you can rape someone when you're married. You can rape your wife when you're married, and it's illegal. It's illegal to do that. But this gave women psychological problems later. And so the next generation of women who were breeded from that seed of the abusive husband and paranoid wife became aware of this, and they didn't want to be treated like this. They had a bad mindset of what it would be like to be married. So most of these women became more self-conscious and started to do things for themselves. Now, as that progressed in their mindset, so did the economy. And it got worse during the 50s, or not 50s, 70s and 80s and 90s. So during that era, it wasn't easy to work on one income. You had to work on two incomes now. So women were more prone to be in the workforce. That made them accumulate the income you could have accumulated with just one income during the 50s and 40s or so. And, 40s, of course, we were recovering from the Depression, but we were in a war era. And yes, feminism was starting to go grabs over there, too. Women were working in factories and helping out with the war machines back in those days. So they did have to work while their husbands, majority of them, were drafted or to war. Now, if you want to understand why women are like they are today, it pretty much has to do with three factors I just went over. Number one, the economy, and how two incomes had to make up for just one income of money that the breadwinner, the husband, would usually make. Number two, women's rights. Women actually wanted to work. It wasn't because of income. It was because they were bored as hell working at home. They were all alone. I guess they talked to other mothers in the neighborhood if you were lucky to have that atmosphere and community. But basically they were bored. They were sitting there working, cleaning all day, taking care of the children, and they got tired of it. Some of them said, forget this, screw this, I want to work in the workforce. I want to do something with my life. I want to have a career. I want to change the world. I want to help out in the community other than cleaning the house all day and serving stuff for my wife. For my husband. Sorry about that. Anyway, that's what made women think, I need to get out of this situation. That started the second feminist movement, and we're in the third feminist movement, which is today. There are some traditional companies that pay men more than women, and it's just crazy, folks. Just the way women are treated today in our society. But and it has something to do with psychological warfare with the man and the woman. Some men went on power trips after a while, after the economy got worse. They started like, You didn't cook my dinner, bitch! Ooh! Excuse my language. You didn't cook my dinner! Ma, where's mashed potatoes? Smack! Just abusing them. And that's why women are in America and in other Western nations like they are today. Because we men were abusing them. We're taking too much advantage of them. And it does say in the Bible that you're supposed to submit to your husband like you submit to Jesus. But if you're going to be an abusive, lazy person, don't listen to them. Don't listen to them. And that's the feminist movement for this video. I hope you watch the next video about American women. And I hope this video helped you understand why American women are the way they are today, and other Western European nations are the way they are today with, their concepts of marriage and careers. Thank you for watching. God bless.